This video is a short section taken from an episode of the Ash Bros Video Game Podcast. To listen to the full episode on YouTube or any of your regular podcast apps, check out the links in the description below. So, as a result, I decided to download Battlefield 5.
Battlefield 5.
V. Yes. And it was free for me because it was free with Game Pass, which was great. And got into it. Now I come into it as a Call of Duty player. I've played Call of Duty my entire life. I've played one or two Battlefields. Played Battlefield 1 for a very small amount of time, just a couple of hours, not much. Played Battlefield 2. By the way, the numbers are listings all wrong. Like they went to Battlefield 1, then went to 5, and it was all sorts. But yeah, the original Battlefield 2 a long time ago. And so I came into this as a Call of Duty player with Battlefield 5. And I've been loving it, absolutely loving it. Whenever I can find some time to kind of get into it, it's been brilliant. It's set in World War II, which is great. That's probably my favourite kind of time period in these kind of first-person shooter games. Really kind of interested in that. And so I know kind of all the guns, a lot of the settings and stuff. Visually, it is stunning. It is absolutely brilliant. Even though, bear in mind, this was released in 2018, obviously when the next-gen consoles didn't come out. It more than holds up on the next-gen consoles. I can say that now. It looks absolutely fantastic. It's very different to Call of Duty. Like coming into it as obviously a COD player, and for anyone who maybe listens to this who hasn't really played Battlefield and maybe plays COD, it's very different because one, you have big maps. Like the maps are big. It is generally 64 player game modes. So some things like ground war and stuff for COD players. And so you do need to get used to that. I'm not a massive fan of massive maps, for want of a better word. But you do get used to it. They do a good job of providing vehicles and stuff, transport to get across the map quickly, particularly when you're in kind of objective-based games. You should really be sticking around the objectives, not running around all the edges of the map. So you will need to get used to that, which you will, because I have, and I'm not a fan of big maps really until this one. It's more about team play and tactics compared to COD, where people just go and do their own thing. You know, how many times I've been on COD over the years, I've played domination. No one's bothering to capture the flags, to do the objectives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just rattles me. In this, it is much better. You've got roles with regard to this team play, and this is a good thing to lead into my next point. You don't have create a class as such as you do in COD. Instead, you have 4 different roles. You have assault, medic, recon, support, and within each of those, they have a different thing. So you can create that class for that thing. So for assault, for example, I've got an M1 Garand, and then you have your sidearm, then you have your grenade, your special equipment, etc. You set that. But each one then comes with its own little kind of perk and role. So if you pick medic, for example, what you do is you have unlimited med packs, and you can go around handing them to teammates if and when they need them. It helps you kind of revive players as well, and that's all to do with co-op team play, like helping your teammates more. It's more about those kind of objectives rather than just constantly going and trying to get the most kills possible. So I'm a massive fan of that compared to COD, and it's just been brilliant. Really loved the experience. Campaign really powerful. It was so like kind of striking, like emotionally striking. It really was. Like I played the intro to the campaign, and it's kind of flicking through different scenes, and each time your character basically dies at the end of it, just after like a 1-minute sequence, and it's just trying to get the image across that there's just so much death in like the Second World War and stuff, and it was really powerful. It's something that Call of Duty campaigns have never really done to that kind of really powerful extent. So yeah, I'm absolutely loving that. I don't know if have you played Battlefield at all?
Years ago. Yeah, I've dabbled here and there. Yeah, I mean, what was the most striking was the size of the maps, right? Really sort of large scale warfare, whereas Call of Duty is, the polar opposite, like really close quarters, I'd say, most of the time. And I think both things have their pros and cons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Do you find Call of Duty more exciting because it's more action packed?
Um, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say it is more action packed, because the thing is with Battlefield as well is what helps with those big maps is you can kind of pick where you spawn.
Oh, okay, yeah,
So in each game you come into a squad with 4 players, so you can spawn on one of those squad members, providing they're not in combat, in danger, or you can spawn on one of the objectives that your team controls.
okay,
So that's going to bring you into the action fairly quickly. So the only time you're going to find a real problem with the size of the maps is, say, if I'm going from one objective to another, and that objective happens to be like further away.
mm.
You
But
kind of find yourself running across a big field and stuff like that.
yeah, but as you say, that they've put things in place to make that process easier with vehicles and stuff, right?
Yeah, they've done a fairly good job of that. Like, again, it depends on a lot of the vehicles are stationed at like starting zones and stuff. So you need to be in a starting zone. Like, if you're in an objective in the middle of like a town, you won't find like a jeep there waiting. It has to be on like on the outskirts and stuff. So there is that. So yeah, like there are still issues with it, but not as bad as what I thought it would be. It's definitely kind of eased that thing I have about the big massive maps and the big
Yeah,
massive like 64-player modes.
yeah, yeah.
And it also helps that I'm actually decent at it.
Oh,
So
love it.
you know, if I was dying all the time, I'd be get this game gone,
Get going.
uninstall.
Yeah.
But yeah, so definitely kind of advise anyone who is maybe a COD player, hasn't tried Battlefield out, please do, because it's still alive as well. That's the thing. Like, it's the most recent Battlefield. It's still, you'll have no problems finding games or anything like that. So please do, like, kind of give it a try. I actually wanted you to kind of give it a try, but I know you've kind of gone off first-person shooter games, haven't you?
Yeah, really. I mean, the game I'm about to go on to is, you could argue, has first-person shooter elements.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never really found a first-person shooter recently that's, enticed me in.
Yeah.
Literally since like Modern Warfare 2, I'd say. There hasn't been a shooter that's really like held me,
Yeah. Which is
Um,
mad, isn't it?
yeah, it is. Yeah.
So, yeah. Maybe you won't try them.
Oh,
But
you never know. Maybe.
well, yeah. I mean, it is
You
on
never
PC,
know.
so